emergency legislation was called for. We're going to fight every penny for wall construction. We don't want to take it away from military families. What's interesting in this budget, all the military families and all the military support that they took out last year, they didn't try to backfill this year. We didn't let them in last year's budget. So who is this going to hurt? Our nation's military families, for a wall that is a vanity project that he said Mexico would pay for.
Yes, and just further to that point, the distinguished leader has been very clear, but this is about child care centers at military bases, facilities for the quality of life for the families and for the security of our country. As he said, Mexico is going to pay for it. No. But in addition to the harm that he's doing to military families, just getting back to Medicaid, almost $1 trillion in cuts in Medicaid, over 1 million veterans are on Medicaid. Hundreds of millions of veterans are on food stamps. So this really shows just a cavalier attitude to the needs of America's servicemen and women and their families when they're in the military and when they retire.
Taylor.
On the issue of Medicare, both of you have been around a long time, and you voted for cuts to Medicare in the past, either to
No.
reduce the
Never
deficit.
done that.
No,
Oh, then.
we opposed
Why
whatever it
not?
was. The Gang of Six.
You used Medicare, for instance, to help pay for the Affordable
Let me
Care Act.
correct you right there because you should not go any further down that path in friendship. The fact is, in the Affordable Care Act, we got rid of some waste and abuse in Medicare and used that money to prolong the life of Medicare. Medicare was not how we funded the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act is how we strengthened Medicare. So don't buy into that false
no net
premise.
reduction
No,
in Medicare.
and Medicare. In fact, we increased the longevity of it. And that has been one of the things they say, oh, you use Medicare. But we did not. We did not.
Trump is making the same arguments about his approach to cutting Medicare as well, but that money goes.
He didn't.
No.
He didn't put it. Wait.
No.
He didn't put a nickel of that back into health care. Not
Or
a nickel.
Medicare.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Or to Medicare.
Yeah.
So he's not. He may use that argument, but he will use it falsely.
This is very important that we have clarity on this subject because we're talking about America's working families. We're talking about Medicare, which is essential to not only the health but the financial security. We are also talking about Medicaid, which is a middle income benefit, although people think of it being for poor people, poor children, yes. But as I mentioned, about two-thirds of it being of long-term care being covered by Medicaid, which is now being cut by almost $900 billion. But also to put this in a perspective about what that means to America's working families, why are they doing this? They're doing this so that they can give advantages to the high end. We want to see balance in all of this. We want to see where we can find savings. Let's subject everything we spend to harsh scrutiny so that the results for the American people are the best that they can be. But don't get in front of an audience and say, I'm here to protect Medicare, Social Security, and people, and we say Medicaid too, and then put a budget like this forward and then try to say we did something on the health care bill, which we did not.
Go ahead, Chad. This subject.
So Chairman Yarmouth says he doesn't intend to move a budget resolution this year because we have the two-year
budget.
Senator Enzi said, he's not going to have a hearing on this. That said, and I understand.
I don't blame him.
Would you want that subjected to exposure? Yeah.
But with that said, since, when I talk with senior appropriators on both sides, they say they don't intend to come off of the agreement here. So obviously none of this that we're discussing is going to, become law.
Speaker Pelosi says it well. You want to know the values of a president? Don't listen with this president in particular to the State of the Union address. Look at his budget. And it shows his values are so off base. Left to his own devices, he would do this. We stop him. We fight him. Yeah. But make no mistake about it, this is just what he wants to do, and the American people should know about it loud and clear.
And we have a saying in the House, show me your budget, show me your values. That's where it is. And this is really a statement so undermining of the values of what America is as a community, what we are about respecting what the needs are of America's working families. This is really important because it is also part of the anti-governance attitude of the Republicans. See, if they can diminish Medicaid, diminish Social Security, take away the disability benefits, reduce the disability benefits in Social Security, what is the advantage of that? And I might add, because the distinguished leader talked about education, there's nothing that brings more money to the Treasury than investment in education, early childhood, K through 12, higher education, post-grad, and lifetime learning for a worker. So when they say they're making a cut in education, they're increasing the national debt and undermining the aspirations of the American people and the competitiveness of our country.
This subject, are you to this subject? Related. Nope. Go to this subject first. I know your act. Come on.
Mr. Speaker, you said that the funding levels for the defense and non-defense sides of the budget violate the framework of the budget agreement.
The non-defense side,
And
not the defense side.
How would you address that?
Well, we're going to write our bills according to the agreement that we have with the administration. And as we did this year, we were able to avoid a shutdown, even though the president was threatening one, because we honored the budget agreement in a bipartisan way, House and Senate. And that's what we will do again.
One more on this subject, and then we'll stray a bit. Yes.
Are you actually saying that Medicare benefits are cut? Because the administration says these are cost control items. Are you really arguing here that Medicare?
We'll get you the details. There are cuts in programs that benefit Medicare, that go to Medicare. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you. So both of you have said that campaign finance is a priority of yours. What do you make of the fact that Michael Bloomberg is spending $1 billion or more, could upend the Democratic primary system? Is that good and okay for?
Look, both of us stand strongly, and our whole caucuses do, from one end to the other, that we want to do everything we can to get rid of Citizens United, that we want to go back to the days of real campaign finance reform, and we stand for that, plain and simple. And we will, if we get the majority, if, God willing, the Speaker keeps the majority, I think both have a good chance of happening, that's going to be a top priority.
It is a top priority for us now. We passed H.R. 1, and H.R. 1, we did three things when we ran in 2018. For the people, we said we were going to lower the cost of health care for America's families by lowering the cost of prescription drugs as we protected the pre-existing condition benefit. Lower health care, bigger paychecks by building the infrastructure of America in a green way, a resilient way for the future. We thought in those two areas we could find some common ground with the administration because the president said he was going to negotiate like crazy on reducing cost of a prescription drug. I guess like crazy means not at all. And hopefully we can still find a path on both of those, lowering cost of prescription drugs and building the infrastructure. And 3, cleaner government. I don't know that we have much hope with him in that regard. However, it was about lowering the influence of dark special interest money in elections, as well as giving opportunity for small donors to weigh in, that everybody thought that his or her voice counted as much as anyone else's, with John Lewis's provisions in there to end voter suppression and the rest of that. We have 3 bills. You have 3 bills on the floor right now in terms of election security, and that is the SHIELD Act, the SAFE Act, elements of H.R. 1. Why are the Republicans so afraid of stopping foreign interference in our elections? Why are the Republicans so afraid of protecting the integrity of our elections and protecting the? We did get money, over $400 million in the. It's not an omnibus, the minibus, or whatever, that we passed at the end of last year.
McConnell's strenuous
over his objection, because he is standing in the way of the election integrity that we need. As far as Michael Bloomberg is concerned, I think that his involvement in this campaign will be a positive one.
And by the way, just one other point on that. H.R. 1, we have asked countless times for McConnell to let us bring it to the floor, He won't do it. He's against any campaign finance reform. He's for all this dark money flowing in. Dark. Yes.
And in fact, just May on that
Please,
score,
please.
we also took out of H.R. 1 one important element, which was Voting Rights Act, and we've sent it over separately. The Voting Rights Act to answer what the challenge that the Supreme Court gave when it undermined, seriously, in my view, the Voting Rights Act, but said Congress can correct this, and we did. And he won't bring that up, too. And across the country, those who are interested in the Voting Rights Act are paying keen attention to the fact that he will not even bring up a Voting Rights Act, which we passed, when we passed it originally in 06, 07, it was 06, but became effective in 07. President Bush signed it. It was overwhelming, I think unanimous in the Senate. In the House, 400 votes, something like that. And now we can't even get it brought up on the Senate
Both
floor.
bills are part of McConnell's legislative graveyard. Last question.
Bernie Sanders is, of course, running at the top of your field right now. Would both of you be comfortable with the so-called Democratic Socialist, as he calls himself, at the top of your ticket?
Primaries are primaries, and there are always lots of Sturm and Drang. You will see in a few months, Democrats will be strongly united together, and we will be focused like a laser on beating Donald Trump. The enthusiasm that you last saw in 2008 to elect Barack Obama, you will see among Democrats this summer and fall to get Donald Trump out of office.
And we in the House feel that we set a model for how to win elections by winning in the most gerrymandered, voter-suppressed political arena you could ever put together, net gain of 40 seats. So we think we are an engine that can help us win that election, whoever our nominee is. Thank you.
Thank you.